do is installing and running the account. Hopping over to Bitbucket, in the top right, you'll be able to access your account page. From here, you can go ahead and add an SSH key. This SSH key will allow you to perform a git pull and easily and securely pull down the project. Next, let's actually go to the project page. In this case, I'm going to pull down the front first. Perform a git clone with the URL, and all done because my SSH key has been set up. You can perform the same thing with the back. Now we can go into the directories and get ready to run the project. The project does have some requirements though. First, you're going to need to install Docker. In this case with Docker, you'll be installing Docker Community Edition. If you simply search on Google, install Docker, the first link will bring you to the Docker docs. On the left-hand pane, you'll be able to see for multiple Linux distributions, OS X, as well as Windows. In this case, I'm doing it on Linux. And I've gone ahead and installed it through the Ubuntu app repositories. Secondly, you'll need to install Docker Compose. Docker Compose is an easy-to-use YAML format that allows you to kind of define architectures, or really just a list of containers within Docker. I'll go ahead and say, search on Google, install Docker Compose, and learn how to do it and figure it out. It's nothing too crazy. If you hop over to the project, you can actually take a look at the Docker Compose YAML. In this case, it's just going to set up a Mongo image, as well as a little helper, Mongo Express. Mongo Express allows you to go ahead and view the data in Mongo. It's pretty useful for debugging, as well as maybe even creating fake data, though I would recommend going ahead and using the seeder for that. So to start, let's start with the backend. First, you're probably going to want to head and start up Docker Compose. In this case, we're on Docker Compose up, which will bring up the Docker Compose defined here. Build will go ahead and build the containers if necessary. In this case, I'm going ahead and setting a volume and providing it a Mongo init.js file. This is going to create the standard structure needed for the data. And D will just run it detached. Well, I already had the container running, so it simply recreated it. That was quick. Next, on each side, we're going to want to run an npm install. This will set the node package manager to go ahead and install all the dependencies. After this, you can go ahead and from the back end, run npm run dev. As you can see, database is connected and the backend is running. The front end is probably still downloading React. Let's give it a moment. Actually, maybe we can go to the backend and quickly get a teaser. If you go to localhost 3000 on your system, you get a refuse to connect. React isn't up yet. But if you go to 3001, we'll see the ASMT back, interactive API docs. Here, you'll be able to see all of the endpoints in the system, as well as see some examples. Well, in this case, if we post a view. Now, let's try localhost 8081. This is where Mongo Express will attempt to bind to. In this case, you can see the ASMT database that is set up. Currently has the course, the lecture, user, and views already created. In this case, I've probably already ran the seeder, so there's some data sitting there waiting for me. At this point, React is probably already installed. Let's check it out. Oh, Semantic UI needs to install. So, Semantic UI helps with the front end. It defines some of the blocks and pieces that define the web page, and is necessary for this project. In this case, we have a semantic JSON. I've checked this into the project, so go ahead and say yes. Well, let's go with the automatic. yes, that is the directory for the project. Go ahead and click yes. And let's install in the semantic folder. It should work just fine. After this, all the dependencies are installed. Quite a few vulnerabilities. Uh-oh. Next, let's go ahead and start the front end with npm start. This will kick the project off and execute in your browser. So here's the home page, empty. Let's go check out the courses though. From here, you'll see the data that I've already created in the database. Should be able to jump from page to page. And in case anything is awry, you can go ahead and check the terminal and see logs of these database calls. Also, I'd recommend there is an extremely useful Chrome extension called React Developer Tools. I'd recommend you install it. It's super useful. Say, for example, you go over to the React application. Maybe you're not too, what's the best way of saying it? Comfortable with React. I certainly am not, even after working on this project. The React Developer Tools will allow you to connect to React, as well as go ahead and look at objects that are on the page. In this case, this is a list. I can go ahead and click on here and see these container primitives that I'm actually using from Semantic UI. Go ahead and look the segment, the item group, and see these lecture items. These are actually backend components in React. The React Developer Tool will allow you to easily see the different objects that make up your page and check the state as well as the properties set for them. So in this case, I can actually look at the course that is provided to that lecture item, even the lecture object itself. Well, with these pieces, you should be able to at least start with the project. There will be a little bit of learning, but I would definitely recommend checking out the easy React guides available online. Mongo for itself is very simple. You should be able to find some good videos on that. And if anything, read the code. Thanks. Have a great day.